Just waiting for the okay from. Just give us a minute until we get the okay.
Stand at attention.
All set? Okay. I'd like to call this meeting to order with the pledge, please.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We have 3 sets of minutes. First is October 22nd.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from October 22nd, 2012.
Second.
Any discussion, any omissions, errors that you've noticed? Seeing none. Pat?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
The minutes for January 14th.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from January 14th, 2013.
Second.
I haven't skipped through this one yet.
Okay.
Anybody see any errors or omissions on this one? Seeing none. Pat?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And January 28th.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from January 28th, 2013.
Yes. Second.
Anybody see any errors or omissions on this set of minutes? Seeing none. Pat?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Dembeck and Bud is here.
Come on up,
You can
Dick.
come on up, Vic.
Can I have you up there?
Yep, that way you can be heard.
You'll hear me.
Done if they did it, use that money, $10,000, to be fixed. Don't laugh.
Peter, I'm going to tell you one time, do not speak unless I give you permission to speak, please. All right. Apparently we have a problem in your front of your house with some drainage issues. I know Virginia has spoken to you. I know that, I believe, Ron Davin spoke to you about it also. I don't know if Bud's talked to you recently or not. I know
On vacations.
I know Bud and Ron talked today.
I've talked about many times.
Okay. So, do we know what started this? From
They,
any?
they raised the road about 3 or 4 times,
Okay,
much higher than the property.
okay,
I started having trouble about 15, 16 years ago. And I talked to just about every selectman that's been in there except for you people. And I get a lot of promises. Finally, Mr. Dunleavy came up there, and he couldn't believe what he saw.
mm-hmm,
He said, we'll take care of it. Well, Mr. Dunleavy did get it on a special meeting. When it came to the special meeting at the school, Mr. Dunleavy just passed away just before that. When it came to the meeting, it never even brought up. That, I don't know why.
okay,
But when it rains and when the snow melts, I cannot even walk in my driveway. The water goes from my walkway right to the road. There's no way I can even walk in it. And you got 3 or 4 inches of water. That's been going on for 10 or 15 years. Mr. Durrard, which is superintendent at one time for the highway department,
yeah,
he couldn't believe it. He says, I'll see what I can do for you. Well, he talked about where the water, you could possibly run the water in there. He asked me about if you could put it in the back lot that I own. I said, well, I'll discuss it and we'll let you know. My wife and I went away on vacation. We came back and it was all done. He said you got a verbal agreement. Well, he didn't get it from me. I said, well, think about it. You have no paperwork. On my back lot is a big pile of dirt and pipes that ran about 20 to 30 feet into my property. He put drainage at my driveway on a corner. It's probably a foot in the ground, maybe a foot and a half the most, I don't know. Those got so blocked with dirt and mud, they don't work. About a month ago, Mr. Chase come over, and he knew it didn't work. He pulled them up, they buried it, blacktop over it. Don't do no good. They put a berm on my driveway, Gerard did. Didn't even stop the water from coming in. And it just got to a point where my driveway is ruined, it's all cracked, and I don't dare do anything with it because it's all ruined. All the water comes into my yard, goes right to my house. My daughter, when she was home after she graduated, I had a bedroom downstairs, wall-to-wall carpet and paneling. In the last 2 or 3 years now, I had to tear it all out. It's soaking wet because all the water is coming into my cellar. And not a word, not a thing has been done with you people, this town.
Okay. Virginia?
I went, after I talked to Vic, I went down to his house and looked at it, and in fact, his entire driveway was covered with water. And since then, I've been over there twice, and it's the same thing. It just,
Oh.
it goes in there, it just sets there.
The only way I get rid of it, believe it or not, I shovel it out. I have to. I shovel it to the side into the lawn area. That's the only way I can keep it out of the dryer. I'll do it 3-4 times a day, because 3 hours later, it's right back again. And you can see the water just coming down the road right into my driveway. It's all off the road.
Okay.
Chris?
Yes.
I had sent an email after I got Virginia's message to Bud to try to figure out, I knew that plans had been done to address the drainage issue.
They didn't, they
in your
never used
area.
it.
Right, and that, you were saying that it was put on a warrant to be voted on, it was gonna have to be an override.
The water department put the new water pipes down through there.
Right,
And they spent over $30,000, from my understanding, to engineer that job.
The engineering study was done.
They spent over $30,000 and nobody's done a thing with it.
right, so those plans, I believe, exist somewhere, and that's, I had asked Bud to try to find them. I wasn't sure who had paid for them, if it was highway or water. So I thought it was a drainage issue, so it would be in highway. But I don't think, have they been located yet?
Is that what you and Jeff were just looking for?
It should be in that office in there, but John did email Tater and Howard to get a set sent to us.
Okay,
Can I ask a question?
yeah.
They reclaimed North Main Street.
Mhm.
They put drainage in as far as Anderson Drive, and they supposed to have run out of money. So they stopped it completely. But they had a little bit of blacktop left over. So the blacktop was from Anderson Drive. Guess where they ended with the blacktop? Right at the beginning of my driveway. All right, my question is, why didn't, when they got other money in, why didn't they finish one job before they went and started another one someplace else?
I don't know, I remember going out
That
to
me
bid
is
to
not
try
a good
to,
plan.
right.
I don't care.
I know the plans cost a certain amount of money, and then they went out to bid. It was for 1,200 feet of road, and the estimate was like 225,000, and I think when the bids came in, it was 335,000. And that, the difference in the bids, I think, killed the project right there.
So I checked with the other neighbors up the road, and they all got problems with water.
Yeah.
And if you drive down that road when it's raining, if you look at the driveways of the people that live from Anderson Drive
Right.
down, they all got water, every one of them.
No, it's a very wet
Yeah, it
area.
is.
Well, I know, I agree. I lived in a wet area town before they did drainage project down in Back Bay, and we used to have to shovel the lawn between two properties so the water would drain off. I mean, you know,
That's what I do now.
yeah, and it's nuts. I totally understand where you're coming from.
Okay. All right, so we haven't found the plans, you're trying to get another copy of the plans. We gotta try to do something to help Mr. Dempick here. Yes, Charlie?
I'd like to invite the chairman of the Selectmen's Board and all the selectmen to come to my house in the next 24 hours and go over the same issue. I would appreciate it if you'd come and make a decision, because I got the same thing that he's got. And it was caused by the same people.
That's, we can discuss that after, because
All right.
I'm not sure that is the same issue, but.
Well,
It's the same
that's why I'm
issue.
asking you, please come and look at it.
It's a
You have
drainage
your-
issue,
You
right.
have your own, then you can make up your own mind as to how you're going to do this.
So, I know you two met together today. Did you come up with any ideas or anything?
Well, I think, Chris, we know what needs to be done there. The problem comes into funding.
Yep.
And how to do it.
Yep.
We have the money, we'll get it corrected. I asked Ron if he could come up, locate the plans that were in the office, and, not much luck with that. And I never had a copy in my office. So once the plans, come in, I mean, I've seen the plans. I think I was over to the light department office. I viewed the plans, I saw what the intent was and how the drainage should be, placed
Yep.
to correct the problem in that particular area.
Okay.
So, I'm confident that, that we can do the job. I know a bid came in at $330,000,
Yeah,
I believe, was the figure at that time. I don't see it being much less these days. That was 10 years ago. That was in 2005 or 6 when it went out to bid. 2005. So, who knows what the cost would be, but however, could the highway department, do the job? I believe we could, no problem at all. It's drainage, we do it all the time. So there could be a cost savings there. Where the funding's gonna come from, at that point, I don't know. What do we have? We have Chapter 90. That's about the only funding source that we have available. However, that's committed to the Ballinville Road project
Right.
currently right now, so.
And back,
And back there.
It-
And are there any simple fixes right now? Not really. There are no fixes. Vic's property elevation and the road elevation, they're almost flat. So there's no place for the water to go except for the low point, and I think Vic's just a little bit lower than the road at this time. Across the street from this house, we got that standing swamp, and then we got the island that always holds water. So that whole area is saturated. So the ground's gonna get de-watered somehow.
Vic said something about they started a project and didn't finish it because they ran out of money.
When the water department finished with their new water main,
Yeah.
there was some discussion on how to leave the road until such a time we were gonna rebuild it properly. I argued the point that I'd like to see it overlaid curb to curb from Anderson Drive, and I believe the project stopped just about at Vic's driveway. For the reason being that we were hoping to have the funding to do the drainage job, and we didn't want to overlay that one portion where the drains were gonna go, because the drains were gonna go across from his driveway, so that would have been the starting point to the drainage project, and then down on the River Road, so that's why it stopped there, and then the funding stopped. It did hit the town for a town vote, 2 or 3 years running in a row to get that funded, and it was passed over or passed down, voted down by the town. So we ran that 2-3 years. It was on for the town vote. It just didn't pass.
Virginia?
Vic tells me that he actually put 2 street drains in and then turned around and took them back out again. Well,
Those were put in by Gerard.
Yeah.
oh, I'm sorry, somebody put them in.
Well, I
Why
wasn't
would-
in charge at the time, but however, I still was working for the town. The superintendent at the time decided to put in 2 shallow drains. They were approximately 2 feet, no more than 3, but about 2 feet, 2 shallow drains. And then he piped it, as Vic stated earlier, kind of around the corner, headed down Outer River Road and ended the drainage somewhere on his property. I personally did not work on that project at that time, but those 2 drains have failed over the years. They've filled up, the pipes are full, the water's got no place to run to, and
They're not there anymore, are
No,
they weren't
Bob,
working, they were a complete failure. So, and what they were a problem for traffic hitting them because they were very low, a bump and a dip. So I talked to Vic about it, we pulled the grates off it, we filled them in with just dirt. They were, just to make the road smooth there, and put some hot top over them. They were a sore, they weren't working at all, 0. No water going through them at all. And there was no way of correcting them, couldn't flush them out. They were poorly constructed at the time, for better words.
Chris?
Yes.
What I failed to say in my email, which was poorly worded, was that we have tried every which way that we know to try to get this project funded. One thing that we haven't tried is if we ask the water commissioners to go for an override to address this problem. It may have a shot. It's the one thing we haven't tried yet.
Right. Do you know how long it's gonna be before you get the plans?
From Tater and Howard?
Yeah,
No,
a week maybe?
no, should be a day.
Okay.
Usually,
Yeah,
it's a real quick turnaround. for
Are they?
everybody.
Okay.
They're electronic.
Everything electronic.
Okay.
Might be small, but I should get something.
Peter?
I thought when Bromley and them were there, that was all engineered to run the water all the way down from that other project across the street. The houses, they gave them some money.
Yeah, I think Julie said it was engineered, but
Is that what you're talking about?
Huh?
Vertical construction you're talking about?
Yeah, what happened to that $10,000, huh?
They were going to donate 10,000 toward the project, but they went under, right,
Yeah.
Kurt?
Right.
Because they wanted to tie into it too.
They wanted to tie into the system.
project.
okay.
So when Tater and Howard engineered the drainage system, they engineered it in a way that it could be added on to in the future. Upper end of Otter River Road could tap into the trunk system and it would carry. Then there was some sort of problems at the outfall of where the pipe was gonna end, which was at the brook.
Oh, I remember that.
There was some problems there. Part of it was a legal easement by the landowner. He didn't particularly like how the outfall was gonna be. And then another problem came about with the conservation, that there's a corrugated pipe that goes underneath the road. And they wanted that changed to a box culvert, and that was gonna be some major bucks. So some of the hot irons were thrown into the fire over this thing, which kind of escalated the cost of the project. Now, moving forward in the future, if we move forward and put this drainage in, whether or not we're gonna have those same obstacles or not, putting in a box culvert, you know what I'm talking about? Big cement box under the road. I guess that's so the salamanders can go from one side to the other without getting their feet wet. So that's what we're faced with right now. It's gonna be money.
How about like a deep dry basin? Can we do something like that temporarily?
That whole area up there, if
It's
you dig
soaking
down,
wet.
it's soaked.
No.
You got a swamp across the street,
Yeah.
standing water all the time. You've got the island
Okay.
that has standing water all the time, except for probably August.
Okay. I was just,
Very wet.
I know you guys have already
It's
thought
very
of it,
wet
but I
there.
was just wondering why. Thank you.
I'm not sure under the new stormwater regs that, Ron, you said the plan was what, about 8 years old now?
2005.
I don't know if they'll let you do direct discharge into that brook anymore.
Well, the plan showed, it did show the big stone for the waterfall to add the air to the water for the fish and
Okay.
salamanders, and all that in there.
But I said that would have to just look at for today's codes.
Right.
Yeah, we've been on that project several times. It was gonna be all riprap going down, so they had the waterfall effect to aerate it before it hit the water. It typically warms the water before it hits the brook.
All right, so, we don't have a instant solution, but we need to come up with something here. I guess it's just a question of what.
Went to town meeting a couple of times and got turned down.
Yeah, when the selectmen put it on.
Maybe we should put it on again.
You know, until we
We'd have to have a
don't know
funding
what the
source.
amount would
Yeah,
be,
yeah.
because then it would have to go to ballot as well. I don't know if we could apply for a MassWorks grant, you know, for that, yeah.
Definitely a need. That should, if I may,
Yeah.
maybe talk to Mike Pink Tank and have him take a look at, evaluate the size and scope of the project and find out if it fits within the guidelines.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea. Mike Pigpen is he does our CDBG grants every year, and he would know, if this is something we could apply for a mass grant for. past works grant.
Whatever you people can do, I appreciate it, because we can't to a point where, you know, it just drives me crazy.
All right, well, but, yes,
Yeah.
Dan.
Is there any chapter 90 money for materials? Can't the highway run drainage? I mean, I don't believe it's the water department runs water main. We're not involved in drainage.
Well,
Just
you
because it's
kind of
material
came in
costs,
halfway
run the
through this,
drainage?
and we're trying to figure out not only the reason, but the fix. And I think it might be a combined thing between both departments. But a lot of our Chapter 90 money right now is tied up on Ballinville Road and Back Bay, and we can't overspend in case we need it for those projects. We're hoping not to, but we have to be careful until we get our new allotment. Yes, Charlie?
Yeah, you're going to make sure you get the drainage in properly on the Ballinsville Road before you start digging it up this spring?
Oh, that's Bud's.
It's all been
Because
looked
if you
at.
don't fix it now, you're gonna have the same problem in 3 years from now.
That's all been engineered.
Yeah, the drainage has been engineered.
Because Mr. Nato won't talk to you.
So we will dive into it, so to speak. Yes, Ron?
The last time, what we ended up doing was, we went out to bid, so we knew what the cost was gonna be, and then they took that and put it on the town floor.
But we're not gonna have enough time to
Yeah,
do
yeah,
that
right,
because
before
the
this
articles.
The articles
the
have to be in this
warrant
week.
closes on Thursday.
Oh,
But we
okay.
could go out to bid and just hold it off for the fall meeting. I mean, I know it's not an immediate fix, but
At
Right.
least you'll have an idea of a cost.
I think the first step is to get the plans and see if
Right.
they would still work under the new rules and regs with stormwater and everything else. That would be the first step. And then go from there. Maybe put it on a special. Because both Ballinville Road and Back Bay are gonna run concurrently.
right.
So that money in Chapter 90 has to be held back as much as we can.
Yeah. Oh, yes, Kirk.
Through you, Chris. Ron, how far, the drainage start, it starts at the brook and comes up to the intersection, does it keep going up?
It was designed to go from Alexandria Ave all the way down into that intersection. Some of it was gonna go up Water River Road and into Lord Road and then down.
Right, well, I guess my question is that, was that what the price was based on, the $350,000 price?
No, at
Bids?
the time it was gonna be just the intersection to get rid of the large amount of water in that intersection that you can see when you stop at the stop sign.
No, I was just wondering if we just do the first part, go from the low side,
Right.
work your way up to Mr. Demick's house, at least to get that situation, okay.
I believe the first design was for 1,200 feet of drainage. I think it was eight catch basins and 3 or 4 manholes. And it was to take care of the immediate problem at the 4-way intersection with future expansion up the road and either North Main Street and part of Lord Road. Of course, Lord Road starts to dive the other way, so does that sound about right?
Yeah.
Charlie?
Yeah, is that gonna include the Hubbardson Road or just Mr. Dunn, his road?
Well, like I said, I think it's two different issues.
No, it's not two different issues. Not whatsoever.
Well, we're going to address this problem, and we can address the Hubbardson Road problem.
You're going to come to my house then?
I will not be able to tomorrow.
I've already been there.
I have a meeting as soon as I get out of work tomorrow, so.
I don't think you can fix one and not the rest of them. I think something needs to be done very soon. We put it off so many years now, it's ridiculous.
Okay. All right, so we will see what we can do there. Thank you. I do not see the chief here yet.
Can neither one of us?
So maybe Dan, if he's ready, can we see if he's ready?
Maybe they had some financing.
Maybe.
Both police and fire were planning to be here.
They had a rescue call when I was over at home.
I would explain it to her.
I think the whole thing might have been there.
Come on in, Dan. 7 o'clock's not here yet, so we're gonna jump you up.
That works. Okay, you ready for me?
Yep.
The reason I'm here is because the last meeting we had, I told you I'd give you an update on the progress for outsourcing. I believe that's what it was.
Payroll, yeah.
Payroll. And I think I gave you an estimate the last time from Harper's. And I have a copy for you there. I just made a slight adjustment to it. There's on the line item that shows the W-2 charges, what they did is they used the average weekly paid number of checks, and we know we have more employees than that, so I adjusted that. So it increased by about $200. But this does not include any other personnel functions like tracking vacation time and such. We do that now. We can purchase them, but it costs more.
Right.
Now, if you look at the People's Bank, they provided me with an estimate, and I tried to make it so it's apples to apples, the same thing. There's no extra additions to this. You can see they provide some things for free, as did the Harper's. So that won't change the cost between the two companies. So I think I have what represents pretty much apples to apples. And you'll see that the People's estimate is $13,769, which does not include the W-2s. So you turn the page, and it goes to $14,839.
That's with the W-2.
Yeah, and this is pretty much what we're getting through Harper's for $9,860. So at this point, my recommendation would be to use Harper's, and it would kind of move forward with that. At least we planned on using Harper's until July anyways, and then when it comes time for July to come around, we can ask for additional quotes. But I feel comfortable moving forward with Harper's.
And you said you have the money in your, I'm sorry.
I do.
And
Yeah, for
Okay, money in the
this
bank
quarter.
year.
For this,
For April.
Finish the year.
that's correct.
And what are we gonna do about the funding for FY14?
I don't know. I haven't looked at it.
Yeah, it'll have to be built in.
I'll add it in, we'll see where we come out. The other, yes.
Why do you have additional funding?
I don't know, I didn't set the budget.
No, that's what I'm wondering though, maybe that's,
I don't know.
maybe we would have extra money for next year that way then.
Well, no, there wasn't a person there
assistant-
for a while, and
Yeah, the assistant treasurer
shuffle
maybe
people
salary
around.
or?
Not in the salary, this is an expense budget.
It's an expense, huh?
Yeah. I can't tell you. I know that
We're looking for a motion.
probably the previous treasurers didn't use the school,
Right.
I'm guessing. It's a requirement. So I'll be going to school this August, so there's going to be money in next year's budget for that.
Okay.
I don't know. That's not all.
Just as wondering. All right.
Yeah, I can try to give you a better answer. I'll look to do that.
Thanks, Dan.
So I guess if we want to proceed, if we want Dan to proceed, we will need a motion to let him do that.
I would move that we allow Dan to go ahead and hire Harper's, at least for the end of this year, and
Fiscal year.
for this fiscal year, right? At the rates, okay, with the chairman to sign, I guess, this is what we want to do.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Seeing none. Pat?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
What else you got for us?
Okay, thank you. The next thing I have is, remember the temporary borrowing that we wanted to do?
Yep.
We've gone forward with that process, and it turns out that to do this, we have to provide the state with a number of documents. And one of those documents is a vote of this board authorizing the treasurer to do the borrowing.
Okay.
And we discussed this, I think,
Yeah.
at the last meeting, we said we'd do it on this meeting.
Okay.
And so essentially, I just need to vote. I have a copy of the, look at this,
Yep.
it basically shows the amount that's being borrowed, who we're borrowing it from, the terms of the agreement, and the
854.
rates, the rate, interest rate.
It's a great rate.
And it's a very good rate.
Yep. Just,
Yes.
For people who were here at the other meeting when we talked about doing this short-term borrowing, it's going to be from March 15th to May 15th. It's a short-term note at 0.54% interest, and it's for 1.5 million versus the 1.8 which we had discussed prior.
Thank you.
So you need us to vote to let you,
We don't need 1.8 anymore.
no.
I'm sorry?
We don't need the 1.8 anymore.
Correct. The reason we don't need the 1.8 is because the numbers that I had been working with were estimated
Okay.
receipts and expenditures. As we got closer to the end, we were able to get a better number. And working with our bank advisors, they suggested we go with 1.5 million. And I agree.
Well,
Percentage rate, how much is it gonna cost us?
Percentage rate is approximately, it is exactly 0.54% annualized. And it's gonna cost us approximately $1,400. That does not include bank advisory fees.
so you need a motion
Need a motion?
authorizing you to take out the loan, is that what you need?
Right, you know, on the annual town meeting, there's this year it was
Right.
Article 6.
Yep.
That says the move to allow the treasurer to borrow in anticipation,
Yep.
Right.
right, with the selectmen's approval.
Okay.
We have
So
to
that's
vote.
what I
So
need
we have
to
to
know.
vote.
And I have to attach a copy of your
The
vote
vote.
to this, when I send it in tomorrow.
And I would move that we vote to allow Dan to go ahead with this RAN for $1.5 million at 0.54% interest
For 2 months.
for 2 months.
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion? Seeing none. Pat?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Probably gonna-
Just so,
Do
just
you
so
need that
people are clear,
tonight?
I didn't say, yeah, I will need it tonight to come up with one.
Okay, just wanted to catch it before you left.
For the people that weren't here before, I just wanted to explain that this will be paid for with receipts from the taxes that we're gonna collect once we set the tax rate.
I just had somebody yesterday ask me when they were gonna get their tax bill, when they could pay their taxes. I said it should be soon. So,
Good to go?
No commitments.
yes,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, chief,
I apologize for
that's
this.
okay.
A little bit late. I come before you tonight to discuss the completed feasibility study that we did in regards to regionalizing dispatch with Gardner and Pilston. Have all of you seen a copy of that?
Yep.
I have copies made up if someone has not seen a
Everybody should have one with them.
He would probably like that.
copy. I've got what you really want, the budget sheet.
Oh, I thought there
Oh, I
was one for
thought there
everybody.
was one in the pile for you out there.
On the
A
table.
little book like this.
You go through it.
Oh, I didn't get one. No,
You get
I'm
yours,
good.
you get yours.
Thank you. I was looking for it.
Okay, a couple of things that I would like to bring to your attention. I blew up, the printed is really small, so this is what really counts. This is the budget sheet. And we did the feasibility study, Gardner got a grant to do the study. And it was through 911 that paid the study, and the study was to see if it was feasible for us to regionalize our dispatch services with Gardner. Now, the study came back basically saying to us that the technology is there to do it, yes, we can do it, we might have better this, we might have better that. It did not cover a lot of things that bothered myself personally, such as loss of service to the community or supportive service to the community. It didn't address any of that. It didn't address a lot of personnel issues, which are, in my opinion, pretty important. Templeton has some very well-trained, long-time dispatchers. Gardner has had a history of not keeping their personnel. for whatever reason, I don't know. So then it got into the budget. Show me the budget, show me the numbers. This really tells me what, if this is gonna really work for us. Now, if you look at their budget sheet, they're gonna say, they're gonna save you, I gotta put my glasses on, even though I put it up, $89,489. But what they don't tell you is they're gonna take away $174,200, because we get a grant every year for approximately $120,000. We have consecutively the last 4 years in a row, and we get a payment from Phillipson for $55,000. So you combine those numbers and you get $174,000 and $174,200. So in my opinion, it's a net loss of $84,711. You give them $174,200 and they give you 89 back, 89,000 back. The way I look at the budget numbers, and the budgets are there for all of you to examine. This is just my opinion, but that's really what a lot of this is about. There are a lot of different issues that we spoke about, but it really boils down to numbers. There's a number in there where he has a current cost for Templeton, under current cost on your budget, says $262,287. So when I was in the meeting, I asked the consultant, where did that figure come from, because it reflects none of my budgets. He said, that is my budget, which is 225, he did it off FY12 figures, 225 and some change. And he says, that's your budget plus benefits. Well, when you do the math out of that, benefits are about 33%. That figure should be over $300,000, and it's not. So I don't know where that came from. So that's another issue for me. There are some hidden costs in the study that are not, well, they're listed in the study, but they're not listed in the budget. One of them is a merger of data. We all use the same CAD system, our IMC systems. Well, the computer company that we all use, we're all vendors for, wants $100,000 to merge the three data departments together, the data. To me, that's an issue.
Yeah, that's an issue.
And the other issue is, it boiled down to some basic services that the dispatch center serves for the town. We are what we call a full-service dispatch center. We're a call center, essentially, for light and water department, the highway department, the dog office, you name it, we do it. You call us, we've got the answer for you. If we can't, we find it. We do full-service dispatching to as far as our fire and EMS. If we have a fire call, our dispatchers do all the mutual aid calling, we do all the radio transmissions for the fire, they do it also for EMS. Gardner system is this, they simply switch the 911 call over to their EMS system or their fire system. They do it completely different from what we do. It'd be a completely, all new training for the Gardner system to merge into ours. The simple answer for that, for them, is to have a command vehicle response for fire. Command will take over, well, they have full-time fire, we don't. We have a full-time fire chief, but I don't think he wants to work 24/7. He has a nice truck, but, so there were some issues there that I was not happy with. The other issue we talked about was a regional lockup. Is a regional lockup going to be part of this consolidation? And I've got a nice pat on the back from the mayor. Yes, yes, it is. But I can't get a hard figure from him or a cost from him, which I don't like. Now, Rutland does a regional lockup for they have a regional dispatch of 4 communities. They have Rutland, Hubbardston, Ocam, and Barry. And the regional center is in Ocam, and they have 6 cells, and it's free to use. And I did mention that to the mayor, but he still didn't answer me. So I'm a little concerned about that. I think what I would like you to do with this service, with this study, if you already have it, is we need to take a vote whether we're going to continue with it or drop out of it. We have a regional agreement with Phillipson, and there is a governance agreement in that agreement, that signed contract with them, which means that I have to give them a 1-year notice upon change or discuss any major changes with dispatch. So last week, I had a meeting of all the respective chiefs, Chief Laporte, myself, the Phillipson Fire Chief, Phillipson Police Chief, and the Communications Director. And we went through a lot of what we have here. Our answer was that we have a very good system that has been in place for 20 years. We have been used as a model by other regional dispatch centers. Our system works very, very well. We don't need to change it, and we voted that we did not want to change it. So I have to give Gardner an answer. The vote really lies with the select board, whether we move this forward or not. I would like to suggest that you take this home, pick it apart. If you have questions during the week, email me, phone me, call me, and we bring it back in 2 weeks and decide what we're gonna do for the next one.
I'll say, how long do you need to?
I would say we need to move it.
Okay.
I think Gardner wants to know where we're gonna go with it, and it's fair to them. I can have them come in with a consultant, I can have the Gardner chief come in, I can have the consultant do you a slide presentation if you'd like. I don't want you to just take this on my opinion solely. I would like you to gather some.
Well, I read this today, and I made a couple of notes. I did notice, like, in the sections where they asked for opinions, a lot of what I'm seeing is, you know, basically that whoever, I'm assuming this is probably Templeton or Phillipston dispatchers or department personnel responding, just from what I'm reading.
It was opened up to department personnel for both departments, yes.
Now, did Gardner have a chance to?
Yes.
Okay, but it doesn't sound like there's much Gardner in here. These people are mostly sounding like, you know, Gardner's making out on this deal and nobody else is. And, you know,
Well, I think it does benefit Gardner, there's
Yeah.
no question.
You know, my concern is our dispatchers. Are they gonna have jobs?
That answer, they have not clearly answered that question to me. They brought in a second consultant, and we discussed that at one meeting, though not etched in stone. His short answer was you lay them all off and let them reapply for their jobs, which really bothered me quite a bit, because I have some very committed employees.
Right. Do you know off the top of your head what their dispatchers get paid? Is it similar?
We're
to
very
ours?
similar.
They are,
And they're
okay.
both
I was kind of curious about that.
We are very similar.
Where, especially where they only do police calls if they...
Their call volume is much greater.
Oh, I'm sure. Virginia?
One thing, when I was sitting with the chief the other day talking about this, they have not made any commitment to increase their dispatching either, the amount of people that are gonna be on. So basically what they're gonna do is take on all of us in Phillipston and not increase their capacity. So that, to me, sounds like a problem. And when we're talking about it, you know, we live in a small town where we have a friendly response system, and if you put this somewhere else, we're not gonna have the same friendly response system that we get here. It's not gonna be in the same time frame, and it's not gonna be the same, I don't want to say caring, that's not right. All dispatchers do the right kind of care. It's just that with that much to do,
Personalized.
Right.
it can't be personalized, exactly.
I see. Julie?
No,
No. Okay, go ahead, Tom.
Dave, I don't question any of your analysis whatsoever. The question I had, though, was you mentioned early on that a large part of the funding, a large part of the financing is funded by grants.
Correct.
Is that, you feel confident that will continue in the future? How does this particular
Well,
kind of grant work?
what you have to understand is right now, we receive the grant because we're the regional dispatch center. They want to be regional because that makes them eligible for that grant.
Okay.
So if that grant goes away, even if we go to Gardner, our assessment goes up. If we
Well,
stay
that's-
here, we still get the grant.
That's what I'm getting at.
It's gonna go up even if we lose the grant, but
So-
you're gonna be paying your money, the grant.
As long as we're regionalized, that grant is guaranteed a strong word, but it would continue in the future?
Right, correct.
Okay.
And that's where the funding issue comes. 911 allows so much funding for each PSAP, but if you're regional like we are, you're allowed a greater sum. Like Gardner, for example, probably right now receives about $40,000, and we receive $120,000 because we're regional. And we have the capability of bringing in another community or two communities. If we could get a matching community like a Royalston or a Petersham, that would even be us even more.
Thank you.
And that's something we have to.
I'd like to ask Chief Laporte, you've been in other towns as
It's been my experience that regionalization, although always touted for the wonderful benefits financially that it brings to a town, seldom brings that benefit when it comes to on the ground. In this particular case, I agree with the chief wholeheartedly, and it would be my personal opinion that I'm backing him 100%. I don't believe that will benefit the town as well as it's touted as doing. And my concern is for the future grant monies that are basically tied to the PSAP. If the PSAP goes away to Gardner, then all those grants go away with it. That's a guarantee. The potential of losing a grant, although real, is less likely if you have the PSAP. If you keep the PSAP here, you're going to get the grant, not only just the grant, as he mentioned, for the PSAP, but for the regional PSAP that he now has. I would recommend perhaps looking into going to a regionalized enhancement, like a Petersham or a Phillipston, or, Royalston, just because of the additional grant money opportunities. I think that the direction of the city of Gardner would be the wrong choice. That's my personal opinion.
Yes, Richard.
I would also like to add that grant money also benefits the town on a regular basis, and I would not want to see us going without it.
Yes.
What would happen, Chief, to the our fire? You said it doesn't include the fire.
It does. They would
And the
dispatch,
EMT.
they would have to dispatch everything, but for example, if you wanted to call the light department, because you had a problem in front of your street after hours, it goes to an answering machine. Now it goes to our dispatchers, and they call the on-call person. That type of,
But
that type of
that
service
would
is what you
be
would use.
losing.
No, you can't measure, when someone calls our dispatch center and says, geez, there's a little old lady walking down Berry Road, she looks really confused, and the dispatcher says, oh, that must be Bibb Haley, and they know who to call. You can't replace that. You cannot replace that.
To me.
Right, so, it's the type of service you She's an Alzheimer's patient.
Well, that was one of my other concerns is, if you call a Gardner dispatcher and they don't know the community,
Exactly.
not just the people, if there's someone walking on the road, but just if it's an area that, you don't hear of a lot, they're gonna say, I don't know where that is.
Well, okay,
Yeah.
in the world of dispatching, the 911 people feel that anyone could be put in a closed room and dispatch under their computerized system. And it's very generic and because they have a mapping system, GPS mapping system in front of them. And they can get you to the, if the caller gives them the right information, they can get you there. But if you crash a car and you're upside down in the middle of the road and you don't know what road you're on, unless you've got OnStar or something like that, it's gonna take us a while to find it.
They're not going to know it's the brow.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That's the road.
Jeff?
Just one comment. Chief, there's never been any discussion of offering to take Gardner's dispatch into your PSAP.
No,
Why
there
not-
has
Why
not.
not counter it? Say, we'll do it for you and we'll send you the bill.
I mean,
You got
I
plenty
would
of room.
rather pair with a more matched community, and that's what we've tried to do. We've had discussion with Royalston, I had discussion with Barry before they went to Rutland, and we have been aggressively pursuing that. It's just finding a community that wants to jump ship, so to speak, is not satisfied with their service.
Now, Phillipston would go with us if we did this, or how's that work?
They would have the option of opting out.
Okay.
We have to give them that option, but they pretty much lean.
I was just kind of
they
wondering.
prefer to stay with us.
How would Gardner's radios work all the way out to Phillipston, for
Well,
instance?
that's in the study, it does match up, there's no question.
And some of the things I saw here were benefits of regionalization. It said professional dispatch services. We already have that.
We have a
I don't
very,
understand.
we spend a lot, well, we get a lot of grant money to keep our dispatchers trained. We have some of the best dispatchers, best trained dispatchers, and we've done EMD, emergency medical dispatch. Now it's mandated to do. Templeton has been doing it for 10 years.
Right. They're all non-issues here. Increased customer service for both citizens and emergency response personnel.
So, go ahead.
I don't know how anybody else feels, but I've been reading this all week, and I think I'm ready to say, let's forego this. for now.
I have also read it, but I don't know if everybody else has.
Have you?
You haven't had a chance to read it, and Pat's just looking over it now, so.
No, I've had
There's no immediate rush on it, you know, like I said, read it, and if you
Well-
have questions, get a hold of me. Anybody in the audience has questions, grab me.
When do you
More
need
than happy.
an answer by?
Excuse me?
When do you need an answer?
They would like an answer pretty soon. There's no direct. I already had conversation with Chief Erickson saying that it wasn't, and I've told them right along when we entered this study that I was very reserved about it to start with. And I told them that already that I've met with the chief, so they didn't get a lot of support. But I told them, they asked me to bring before the board tonight.
We are going over warrant articles next Monday. If we could, if you think a week is enough for you guys to look through this, and we could put it on next Monday, and that way the chief can have a final
Yep.
Yeah.
vote on it.
Like I said, if you want to hear from the consultant or anything like that, most of you have my number and know where to find me.
911 stuff?
Yeah, we'll get the number for that.
Say, I read this today, so I wasn't overwhelmed, that's for sure.
It's good for God.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just one other comment, when I did my FY14 budget, and we took reductions in dispatch last year, so the figures they use aren't 100% accurate. When I calculate in even benefit cost, it cost the town of Templeton with the benefits, including the grant reduction, it only cost us $105,000 to run our dispatch center for FY14. And they want 172. So I don't see it, I just don't see it personally. I'm a regional guy, I think there's some real benefits to it, but this is not the right place.
Okay.
Thank you. And thank you for your input and for coming down. I know it wasn't on your plans tonight.
It's okay.
All right, chief, thanks. Okay.
Okay?
Yep, thanks. Next thing on the agenda, I asked to put on to discuss asking Cumberland Light and Water Commission for our pilot payment for this year. I am proposing that we ask them if they could give us $150,000 for the pilot this year instead of $100,000. Our finances, I've talked to Jeff to see what a good number would be, and he thinks that would be a very helpful number for us. So that's what I'm going to go with. If I can get a motion, we'll send them a letter. They're meeting tomorrow night. We can sign it and hand it to them, since how they're here. If you want to go along with that.
I was moved then to request $150,000 from the light company for their pilot payment this year. Or for their payment
FY14.
for FY14.
Do we have a second? No second?
No, I'll second it, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
For discussion, yeah.
All right, now we can discuss. If anybody would like to. Discussion? Yes?
How does that figure in with the pilot, the way they figure it today? Because I've sat in some of those meetings and they've said that when they do their calculations, it runs between two particular points.
Yeah.
I can't remember the figures. I believe the low figure was somewhere around 95,000 and the
I
upper
think it was
figure
actually lower. The low figure was what's, go ahead, John.
88,000 this year is the low end.
Yeah.
Double that for your grant. It was established in 2009.
178, 176.
176, yeah. It was established in 2009. The Department of Revenue met with the manager at the time, who was from Marblehead. He said that basically the commission had, to this point, been doing it at basically an ad hoc basis, which I think means shoot from the hip. Look at the finances from the light department, how they did that year, then look at what the town does and kind of find a happy medium. The gentleman from Marblehead presented Sean Hamilton with this formula that was accepted by the DOR. That's what we've been using for several years now. It's pretty helpful. Every year, the plant value goes up as long as we do work and add value to the plant. And obviously every year taxes usually go up at least to 2.5%. So you usually have two things working for you each year. So each year, those two numbers bump up. And like I said, this year, those numbers are between 88,000 and about 176,000. So according to the DOR, if we made a payment in that range, that's acceptable to them.
Chris? Oh, I'm sorry.
Sue?
Hi, I called the, because there's been so much scuttlebutt about all this stuff. I called the DOR Law Department, Kathleen Caleri office, and I just asked them, is there anything, because my other in lieu of taxes, there's specific Mass General Law formulas. There is nothing in the Mass General Law. So it's basically whatever they want to work out, which is the formula that I had gotten, that's the same formula I had gotten from Sean back in 2007. And from what I see out there, it's, you know, and that's what they said. It's up to the town to go discuss it with their attorney and figure out something that everybody can agree on is what it is. You know, there is nothing set in law that says they have to pay X, you know.
Did you want to?
Yeah, actually, here, I'll take, can you pass one down?
Yep.
Thank you. This is from the DOR report that was done in October of 2009. It's recommendation 13.
Speak up, Julie.
It's on recommendation 13, adopt formal pilot agreement with municipal light and water plant. We recommend that the selectmen negotiate a multi-year formula-based payment in lieu of taxes pilot agreement with the Templeton Municipal Light and Water Plant. A pilot is an agreement between a municipality and an entity not subject to taxation, in which a voluntary payment is made to the municipality. Templeton's Light and Water Plant has made regular payments with incremental increases over the past 5 years, following a somewhat prescribed formula, as demonstrated in the table below. However, the decision by the Light and Water Plant on how much to actually contribute occurs annually and on a more or less ad hoc basis. Moving forward, we advise Selectmen and Light and Water Commissioners to reach an agreement on a multi-year formula that will serve as the basis for determining the annual payment to the town. The formula should have long-term applicability in a way that produces a fair, consistent, and predictable annual payment to the town. And the chart shows that in FY 2004, the pilot payment was $75,000, in 2005, $72,000, 2006, $100,000, 2007, $115,000, 2008 was $125,000. Today, I just turned in some paperwork for a citizen's petition to be brought up at the annual town meeting, to ask town meeting if they want the selectmen and the light and water commissioners to enter into a formal pilot agreement, so that we can come up with a calculation, a mathematical formula that's agreeable to both sides, so we both know what the payment will be every year to follow this recommendation.
Virginia?
Although I agree that it would be nice to know what we're gonna get. On the other hand, how do we know that we wouldn't have gotten more if we just allowed them to? I mean, because that's been, do we have any numbers to match these as to what we would have gotten? Or what we did get compared to what they were suggesting?
We don't have a formal agreement.
Right.
Right.
But they have been giving us $100,000 to $125,000 every year, and these numbers here don't come up to that, so.
Right, it would be a negotiation between the Board of Selectmen and the Light and Water Commissioners to figure out a formula, a calculation. We would probably ask our assessors and our treasurer to be involved with this process as well. Probably our advisory board chairman as well, I'm thinking. Yeah, and it's a negotiation. That's what the DOR recommended. That was 3 years ago. And we didn't accept this, the DOR report, until October of 2012. I believe that was in the minutes that we just approved tonight.
And then my other concern would be, so what if, we make this 5-year plan and then they have a terrible year, then what happens?
It would be based on a formula, so that number would be plugged in so it would go down.
Well, you just said you have it as a citizen's
I
petition
do.
for ATM, so it's not something we need to really discuss tonight. Sue? And then Tom.
Under the, there's an informational guideline release on this. I don't know if anybody's ever seen it, it's 98-203. But it does say that any kind of pilot agreement, I'm assuming this comes under, because it has to pass a town meeting. It's not just, I mean, you guys can all negotiate, but it still has to go through town meeting.
Right. The amount, even the, whatever amount that
Whatever the agreement
say
itself has to
for
go
the year,
through,
it still
has to
has to
get
be
the
voted at
voters
town
to agree to.
That is correct.
Well,
Tom?
That was my question. Why do you have to go to town floor to ask the town to negotiate? If you have two willing parties to negotiate, you should negotiate, come up with something, and then, she just said it, then bring